To think I left college, I got a job in construction in Boston. I moved into Boston and just working with like blue collar white guys, um, and hearing the things that they would say are like, um, were stunning. And I remember driving up to a job site one day with my mom's in my mom's car, and it had an Elizabeth Warren for Senate sticker on the car, and my supervisor kind of strutted in a couple hours later into the day and was like, "Whose car is that with the Elizabeth Warren sticker on it?" And I was still, I mean, I was like fairly new. I was definitely the youngest guy on the site, and I was like, I didn't say anything, and he was like, "It's yours, isn't it?" Because it was the first time he had ever seen something like that, and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Oh, you motherfuckers," and that's the kind of people I grew up with then. I was working with then, so coming from that environment, I was like very different from those people, and I thought I had this entirely different perspective. And then I come to New York not long after that, within a year of going through that experience in Boston, and I realize I'm like I have a lot to learn here, and you learn the hard way by saying the wrong words, um, trying to make jokes that just don't go over. People just don't think they're funny. Um, like I remember being at this party. It was like a July 4th party, and it was just a bunch of guys playing like this drinking game, and we were like just ribbing each other. And um, I don't know what the context was, but I made a joke about them like huddling up, and like they were gonna huddle up as a team, and I made a joke about like, oh, a bunch of guys getting in a circle, like I don't even know what the punchline was, and it was making a comment about like them being gay, I guess. And just it was silent, and it's just a moment where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I said, guys, I'm sorry, I don't even agree with that joke. That wasn't even a good joke. It's like almost like a weird reflex. And they're like, you probably thought we'd laugh at it. They were so understanding, and also just like really honestly like, it's just not funny. And I was like, yeah, I agree. I It's so weird coming, like the different stages of, I guess, understanding your ignorance. It's like it's a humbling process. And the moments like that, like, just amaze me, that I would still make a joke like that, and I'm like, how many jokes like that have I made? That's not even like unique or creative. What, like, I'm trying to rib some guys in like a, you know in this like place where I'm imagining there's a lot of bravado and stuff, but the group I was with, like, it was just reasonable people. And I still think it's funny that I apologized. uh but there's moments like that. It was just like a weird moment that opened my eyes to the understanding I still had to, work on. um and so my time in New York has been full of experiences like that, even smaller than that, larger than that, and along the way I've realized that the best way to seem smarter than you are, at the very least, is to not be the first one to open your mouth. Um, that's just like a really small tip for anyone who is dealing with anger and confusion at things changing around them, social norms changing, which are changing quite rapidly. And whether or not we're comfortable with it, sometimes it can just be difficult to come to terms with how quickly social norms are changing, certain words we can't use, certain questions we have to ask when we're talking to certain people. We can't make certain assumptions about gender or race, and in the past we might have been able to get away with that. But these are all the things I've learned, and I realized that if I can do the Obama thing and just wait a few moments before I speak, I end up coming off way smarter, and I learn a lot more that way. And maybe deferring to one other person before I open my mouth. Those are just little things. You can still talk. You can still get your point across. You're not silencing yourself. You're just waiting. You're just being patient. And I've even had people come up to me and be like, after being in a group discussion about calling people out online for sexual harassment and stuff, that was kind of at the beginning of the Me Too movement. And I was trying to wrap my head around all that stuff too. Is it okay to call people out online without evidence of these things? Is that the way to handle it? And I didn't know these answers, but it was just a lot, I think, for everyone to take in. And I remember being in one group conversation and just not talking. And it was a couple women and another guy friend of mine. And my guy friend was doing all the talking. And he was just in an argument with the two other women. And I was just kind of listening. And then a day or two later, one of the women, my good friend, came up to me and was like, Jack, I just have to say, you've been such a good ally for women. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sure, great. And to think of that was her interpretation of it, when I was basically I don't know what to say. I don't know what the right or wrong side is here. And I just shut my mouth. Part of it was just kind of lucky because I was just kind of tired and I didn't really want to get into it. But on the other side too, I was I don't know what the fuck side to take here. I don't know. It was all very new. It was confusing. At the time, to be honest, I thought it seemed a little strange to just call people out on social media. See, now I'm talking and I don't sound as smart. This is why I just gotta be quiet, people. This is why. But whatever. This is literally what this podcast is supposed to be about. Saying stuff that is, I don't know, that's on your mind. I think it's important to say stuff even when it's wrong.